All right, we got a thumbs up. That's what I needed. So awesome. Thanks for everybody who is attending. You all getting all this knowledge from all the speakers today are going to be the ones who are going to ace and crush the virtual career fair and your virtual interview. I know it because you're doing the extra work. So thank you all for attending. As Garth said, my name is Dan Porta, Senior Corporate Recruiter here at TechSmith Corporation. We're a local software development company based here out of the Okemos, Michigan area. So been partnered with this team for quite a while. Love working with them and excited to be here. I will preface the whole thing saying that I'm in my home environment and I've got two dogs here, and if they see a blade of grass move, they're going to bark. So you may hear that. I may have to go on mute for a minute, but we'll try to just push through it. So I'm here today to talk about how to crush the virtual interview and just kind of how to stand out and shine. So we'll give an opportunity to ask any questions at the end that you may have. So kind of write those down as we go through. I'd love to ask as many as we have. All right, so got a little bit of an agenda for today's presentation, just to kind of keep, this is more for me, but also to tell you what we're going to be covering. This is to keep me on track. But so we're going to cover, why do companies, employers even attend career fairs? Why do you need to attend career fairs? Kind of the prep work that goes into them, game time, day of, and then after the career fair. What do you mean? What is there after the career fair? It's done. There's a lot after the career fair. Okay, so we'll jump right in. Employer perspective. So I've been a recruiter for 10 years now. I've worked at several different companies, from manufacturing to healthcare to technology. Extremely large organizations here in the Lansing area to organizations with an international presence with over 40 locations across the globe. And here's one thing I know. All of them went to career fairs. All of them saw value in career fair. And they go because of a couple different reasons. And they go because they want that brand exposure. Well, what does that mean? They want you to get to know their name. Even 10 years in the game, going to, 30 career fairs a year. Myself, from an employer standpoint, I go there and I learn new companies all the time. I learn new products, and that's part of why they're there, is just so you get familiar with their name, their products, what they're doing, where they're at, how they help out the community, so on and so forth. So brand exposure is a big reason. So if you go to a career fair and they're like, hey, we're not, currently hiring any positions right now, they're there for brand exposure. That's not good or bad that they don't have open positions, because they will have open positions. It just might not be right then in your area of interest. Okay, if you were intrigued by the company, jot the name down. Make sure that you save that for the next time. We go there to attract interns, co-ops, whatever you want to call that, summer employment. We go there to talk to the students, about our internship opportunity. That's our goal. Also to attract full-time candidates. So we're not just there only for interns. Sometimes if the career fair is slated for, summer job and internship fair, which is one that's coming up at MSU, and then we're going to go there targeting mostly interns. So when you go to sign up for career fairs, make sure you're going to want the ones that are most relevant to where you're at in your career journey. Here's a secret that you might not know, students. And Garth, don't hate me for saying this, but this is the truth. Employers pay to go to these career fairs. Right. So there's a registration fee we pay. It's not necessarily cheap. We pay because we see the value in it, because, career services put on an amazing career fair. And so we want to be there. We want to be able to provide that brand exposure, attract full-time and intern students. So that's the truth of it. Plus, we even to send some of our people out to career fairs, that costs money from a wages and salary standpoint. We're taking them away from their job so that they can be there and talk to you and kind of educate people on what it is that we do at TechSmith. And that's not just entry-level people or interns that we send. Our CEO has attended career fairs, right? And I'm pretty sure she makes good money, right? So it costs a lot of money to have her attend virtual career fairs or in-person career fairs. So we make an investment in those career fairs of time, talent, and treasure, right? We're there for 4 hours, 6 hours. Talent, we're sending the best of the best that we have out to those career fairs, and treasure, money. Ultimately, it costs money to be there. Why? Because we want a return on investment, and our goal is to brand exposure, attract interns, co-ops, or attract full-time students. Okay. So that's why we attend. Why should you attend? So shop around, right? So what I mean by that is prior to a virtual career fair, and I'll talk about some of the perks of a virtual career fair versus in person, but some of the stuff that I'm talking about is going to apply to both, right? So like, why should you attend virtual? That also applies for in person whenever that comes around. But go there and learn about more companies and what they do. Your goal is to be a student there as well, because you're going to get exposure to so many companies that you did not know. You don't have their products in their home, or maybe you do and you didn't know it. Right. And they're these huge global companies. For example, I used to work at a company called Dart Container Corporation, right? They're located just 6 miles south of MSU. And guess what? They've got 15,000 employees. They have 40 locations around the globe. They're on 4 different continents. And every single person that's listening to this has used their products, I guarantee, because they are the owners of Solo Cup, right? And you would never know that unless you knew somebody who worked there, or you went to the career fair and found out about that. TechSmith Corporation. I never knew about TechSmith Corporation at all, or what they did. First time that I heard about them was actually at a career fair. I was working for another company and I saw their booth and I was curious, and that's why I went and Google search what is TechSmith, right? And then I learned about its great culture, so on and so forth. So then it was on my radar for employment in the future. So when you go there with an open mind to shop around and just learn. The other thing is this is one of the biggest benefits, is getting a pulse. So it might be a company that you're already aware of, that you're very familiar with, that you've already applied to, that you really want an internship or full-time opportunity. That's your number one choice. You can get a pulse on the culture by talking to people, because here's the truth. A bad company is not going to, with a bad culture, is not going to tell you that they have a bad culture on their website. They're going to say it's great, right? There are websites out there that can help, Comparably, Glassdoor, to get a more honest opinion of their culture versus what's online. But even those are skewed a little bit. Go to the source of truth. Go and talk to the people. How are they treating you while you're there, right? If they're treating you like, oh man, I can't believe I have to talk to this student, right? Then it might not be a great culture. Now, maybe that person's having a bad day, but so then talk to the next person, right? You can get a pulse for how they treat their employees. Do their employees seem burned out, right? Or are they excited to be there? They've got a grin on their face. They're pumped to talk to you because they can't wait to tell people about the company that they work at, right? You can get a pulse. That value right there is worth it alone. Okay. Meet the recruiters. So I might be a little biased as I'm a recruiter, or senior recruiter, as Garth put it. But these people are your friends when it comes to landing a job. Okay. People have said they're the gatekeepers. I don't think we're necessarily the gatekeepers, right? Because we're not trying to keep people out. We want people to come in, right? The gate's open. Nobody's at the gate, right? And you get to determine whether or not you get to walk in based on whether or not you're prepared and you meet qualifications, so on and so forth. So, and we want you to be prepared. We want to help you to land the job. Here's the truth of it, right? Ultimately, my job performance is based on, did I fill positions or not? So my goal isn't to keep candidates out. My goal is to get candidates in. Now, these candidates, before I present them to, hiring managers, so on and so forth, need to be well prepared, have a good resume, interview well, phone interview well. And that's where I get to, kind of determine whether or not this person is qualified. But I will also attend events like these to help you out. I also at virtual career fairs, I send you in the chat my email, right? My LinkedIn, and I say, contact me with any questions you have because I'm more than willing to help you all out. Okay. And that's the same with all the recruiters that they work with in career services. They enjoy people and they want to help you land the job. Okay. So meet the recruiters, get their contact information, form a connection with them, build rapport with them. And then ultimately you're there to get paid, right? To make money. You're there to land the job. It's really, it's simple, right? You go to a restaurant to get food. You go to a career fair to get a job, right? Or an internship to make that paycheck ultimately. And that's, I mean, that's kind of the culmination of your education and your extracurriculars and, you know, your, you playing sports at MSU or your university, and all of those different side projects that you're doing, your capstones, is to do what? You're there to land that job that you want at the company that you are most desiring. So you can't necessarily land a job so easily if you're not at the career fair. I'm telling you what, you will be more successful in your career search long term if you are attending career fairs. So that's why you should attend career fairs. Now let's talk about prep work. Prep work is simply the most important. Do it. Those who do it will be successful. Those who don't, I have no guarantees. Okay. You might get lucky. I'll say that. If you don't do the prep work, you might get lucky. You might have some pep in your step and you might be able to answer all the questions. I wouldn't go there based solely on maybe I'll get lucky. I would go there based on, hey, I know that I am ready for this. Seriously, you need to do prep work. So, and this is how I see career fairs, right? So it's the culmination. You're spending 20 to 30K a year at MSU or your university to be able to learn that knowledge, gain those problem solving skills, so that ultimately you end up with a degree. Now, what's that degree good for? A job, right? So you are there to get a job. So anyone here, or everyone here, I'm sure has played in sports or a band, or they sang in choir, or they performed under the lights on the stage, right? And before game day, right, you practiced. Why? Because if you didn't, you'd fall on your face. Okay, that's why your coaches, your teachers, band directors were very, very focused on, hey, practice makes perfect, right? We want you to practice, and they'd have you run the same play over and over again. You'd sing the same song 27 times, right? And it didn't seem weird because that made sense. Well, I want to go out and I want to perform really, really well when it's game day, right? When it's concert. I want to do my best there, and I don't want to fumble, and I want to feel confident in what I'm playing. I want to feel confident in the plays I'm running, and I want to ace my lines, right? There's no difference here. At a career fair, virtual or in person, it's ultimately a performance. No, it's not like you need to be a thespian to perform. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not that kind of performance. You're not going to be doing accents or anything like that. You could, it would make it maybe interesting, but I wouldn't recommend it. But I'm saying perform in the light of a career fair, okay? And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by practicing, knowing your stuff, okay? Here's a fact. You will hear that ultimately employers hire the most qualified candidate. I will tell you that's mostly true, because the most qualified candidate who is in honors with a 4.0 GPA 4.3 out of high school, national honor roll in high school, and they're president of the finance club or whatever it may be, right? And they're in all these extracurriculars in leadership roles. That person has a great resume. And that may get an employer to talk to them, right? That might get them to the interview stage. But if they can't perform during the interview or during the virtual career fair, right, it's not going to get them any farther. So it's the most qualified meets the most prepared. And there's one more ingredient to that I'll get to later. Okay. So make sure that you go in and you are the most prepared. That's the one thing you can control. It's safe to say, right, out of MSU and the bajillion students that are there, the bajillion students that are in the engineering program, and then you have all these other universities too, that you are more than likely not the most qualified student, but it is 100% within your control to be the most prepared student. So let's get into how we prepare. And a lot of this can apply to interviews as well, okay? So prep work. What's amazing, this is a huge benefit of virtual career fairs, okay? You go, you can, before you even start, you know the 5 W's, okay? Who, what, when, where, and why. This is an advantage, a huge advantage that you have over an in-person career fair. So who you're meeting with, when you go to attend a schedule, a lot of the times it will say the individual's name from the company, the company representative's name. Go look them up on LinkedIn, go learn about them, take a genuine interest in them. I'm not saying stalk them, but professionally get to know them, right? Did they start off as an intern there? A lot of the times that's what employers send. We want to send people who started off as an intern and are newer to their full-time position. Connect with them. I've had students, this has impressed me so much. You want to crush the virtual interview or the virtual career fair? Here's a big thing. If you're meeting with me, connect with me on LinkedIn prior to, shoot me a message. Just say, hey, Dan, I'm attending the career fair next Tuesday, MSU's career fair. Can't wait to meet with you. Wow, this person has initiative. All employers are looking for initiative. I can check that box for this person, right? They just showed me. I don't even have to ask them about it. They just showed me. So you know who you're meeting with. You know what positions are available and what companies are going to be there. You know when. There's no more waiting in lines. I remember this is a huge advantage over in-person career fairs. And this is not knocking the companies that I'm going to list. Awesome companies. I use their products. Apple would come, Amazon would come, and I would see a line of 50 students in that line. And they would spend almost the entire career fair just getting their chance to talk to that representative from that company. And out of a 4-hour career fair, they would spend 3.5 hours in that line to get 2 minutes with that person. Now you don't have to wait in line. You have to be diligent, right? You have to check those schedules regularly on Handshake so that you can grab one of those, and now you don't have to wait in line. So you know when, right? Where. It's from your bed. It's from your room, right? One of the most comfortable settings you could be in. This isn't awkward. It's not in a hot, stadium or anything like that. This isn't, you didn't have to find parking across campus, walk across campus, half mile in your suit, carrying a satchel and your water bottle so you don't die of dehydration, and then climbing 3 flights of stairs because the elevator's out, and then go to shake somebody's hand and you're dripping in sweat. Okay, you don't have to do that anymore. You can wake up, shower, I hope you shower, brush your teeth, you should always brush your teeth, and then put on your clothes, sit down at your computer and roll, right? There's not much you have to do. So that takes out a huge factor of it. And that's just more time that you can use to prep. Why? Why do you want to be at that company? You should identify that prior to. Do your research on the company, right? What I would say is know what companies you're going to, right? And if you say you have 10 available slots that you're able to do because classes break, so on and so forth, and you fill 6 or 8 of those up with those premier employers that you want to land at, those are also probably premier employers that other people want to land at. Go explore 2 more, right? Fill up the rest of the spots with companies that maybe you're not as familiar with, but you can do your research prior to and find out what are their products, what do they say about their culture. Let me check out their Glassdoor. Let me see what their goals are, their mission, their vision, their values, so that when you go and talk to them, you can speak their language. Okay. Another thing, that's probably the best thing about virtual career fairs is that you don't have to memorize this stuff. You're going to talk to them on your computer, just on a separate document right next to it. Have your notes. Be taking notes, right? Like, you can have all of that information right there. You don't need to have their face take up your entire screen. Have it just take up a portion and have your notes take up the rest of it. Virtual career fairs put you at a huge advantage when it comes to being prepared. Okay, there's a lot of the hoops that you don't have to jump through, like parking and walking a half mile, right? You can be more prepared when it comes to your notes that you bring, your prep notes. You could be more prepared when you're taking notes, because trying to take notes on a little pad that's in your hand while you're standing in front of them is really difficult, while you have a bag of swag and like cheap sunglasses over here and thermoses, and you're trying to take all that stuff is out of there. There's not the ambient noise of everybody talking to everybody. It's just you, that person, and your tools. So make sure you take advantage of the advantage of being in a virtual career fair. Prep work. I can't say this enough. Work with career services, seriously. I've been recruiting for 10 years. Garth does not pay me to say this. I'm not paid to be here. I'll say it everywhere I go. You all have access to the best career services within engineering career services that I've ever worked with in 10 years, because like Garth will meet with students like 8 p.m. Sometimes I've seen his calendar, right? Same with Rachel, same with Kyle, same with Dr. B. They're all there to help you out. They've been doing it for years. They're very good at it, and they know a lot of people. They are abreast of all the new changes and everything like that, with kind of like how resumes have changed over the years and what we're looking for in resumes. And they talk directly to us recruiters, right? They're the customers, if you will, of what we're looking for. They actively seek that information out. They are the perfect, segue between who you want to talk to and you. So use them. They'll do mock interviews with you. They will work with you tirelessly if you're willing to work with them and improve. So, and that, like, I don't know if you all grasp that their goals as a department at MSU are based around if they were successful in helping you do that. That's what they're paid to do, right? So they are professionals at helping you land internships and jobs. And they're free. People pay on Upwork and Fiverr all the time to have their resume redone, and it's not going to be any better than what they can provide. Okay. So with that, work with career services to get your resume on point. Okay. Make sure that it's good. I'm not going to get in depth with that, but if you think your resume is on point, then you're wrong. Okay. I don't even think my resume is on point. When I say on point, I mean perfect, because here's the truth of it. There's no such thing as a perfect resume, and you need to cater resumes. And it depends on where you're at in your career, right? If you're a student, a freshman versus a senior, your resume is going to look different. The content is going to be different. So if you think that you know what you're doing, I would just suggest, even if you have a huge ego and you're like, trust me, my resume is great, bring it to career services, and I guarantee you they can help critique a couple of things just to bring it to that next level. Okay. Here's another great benefit, and well, I guess it's not a benefit of virtual career fairs. This is how to crush any career fair. Apply for the position prior to the career fair. Okay. You are already on their website doing research. Check out to see what their open positions are. And if you can talk about the position that you already applied for and ask questions about that position and let them know during your 10-minute session. Most of the time for virtual career fairs, you're going to get 10 to 15 minutes face-to-face with one individual. You want to bring as much ammunition as you can. And I'll paint kind of like the person that we're talking about here, right? That did all this prep work. They're going to go into that session and they already applied, right? They're already super familiar with the company. They already know who they're talking with, and they already messaged the person prior to. So if I am coming to the career fair to meet with Susan, and Susan I've seen her resume already because she applied, and I know she's got skills. That resume is beautiful. It is well written because she worked with career services. She messaged me on LinkedIn, and I gladly connected. I'll connect with any student who messages me on LinkedIn, anyone really, unless you're trying to sell me something, on LinkedIn. And I received a message. I cannot wait to talk to Susan. Okay, so apply for the positions prior to the career fair. Again, when you do that, I don't have to question whether or not you have initiative anymore. You've already shown that. Trying to save on time. I'm getting pumped. Prep work. I will be honest with you, for in-person career fairs, not a fan of elevator pitches. 1 out of 100 were good, okay? Because that person had practiced tirelessly. What I will say is when you only have 10 minutes in a virtual career fair, impressions matter. If you can put together, craft with the career services, a phenomenal elevator pitch and practice it tirelessly, like a $50,000, $80,000 job depends on it. Okay, because that's what we're hoping for, right? If you can practice it to that point, then you can use it. And you should do that, because I am so impressed on virtual career fairs when somebody comes in with a smooth elevator pitch, especially if this person already messaged me on LinkedIn and already applied. Oh my, I cannot wait to show this candidate to the hiring manager, who are ultimately the hiring decision makers, right? Man, this person has initiative. They applied, they messaged me prior to, we had a great conversation. They had a great pitch about themselves. If you don't practice it, don't use it. It looks sloppy. I would recommend every single one of you practice it. Well, how do I practice it? You have a phone that has a video recorder and a voice recorder. Use it in front of the mirror. Do it in front of your friends. And if your friends are laughing, you can laugh at them when you land the job that's making $30,000 more than they did because they didn't prep. Okay. Bring questions to ask the person, the employer representative. And this is truly what I do for interviews, for myself. When I've been a candidate, even though I've got all these years of interviewing other people, right? I've sat on the other side of the table so many times, right? Over 1,000+ interviews. When I become a candidate, I get nervous just like everybody else, but my prep time, I will outwork anybody in my prep time. Okay. I will go to Google. I'll type in top 30 most asked questions during an interview, right? I'll print those out, and this is me, old school, it just commits to memory better. I'll handwrite my answers, and over the course of the next 5 days, I'll just read those regularly, right? And it's not to memorize them verbatim. That's never the goal, but it's to commit them to memory to a point where they're like a story. You can tell stories about when you were in high school and you played football, or you partied at this. You can tell all those stories. Tell these professional career-based stories that are going to help you land the job. Get familiar with the details of them. Get familiar with how to tell them. And again, when you do this, if you're not somebody who is as poised in like presentation or verbal communication, then spend the time recording it, spend the time, so on and so forth, right on Zoom. Do it sitting in your seat with your camera on and record it, right? Or Google Meet or whatever you have access to, record yourself answering these questions. And then wait a couple hours, go back and watch it, and you'll be like, oh, that was terrible. Yeah, that's a lot of the times what us employer representatives are seeing. So do yourself a service, do that 3 or 4 times, and then you will see noticeable improvements. Share that with career services. Hey, here's what I saw. What would be some of the improvements that you'd suggest? Okay. Game time of the virtual career fair. Okay. So a couple of things to do. Your environment. Make sure it's conducive for an interview, right? You're in a quiet place. You've got very strong internet connection. There's not weird bouncing of acoustics. There's not weird posters in the background or anything like, and I've seen some weird stuff in some students' backgrounds. Hide your paraphernalia, hide your posters, make sure nobody's sleeping in your bed when you hop on the virtual career fair, okay? Things I've seen. So like I've literally seen in someone's back like 3 posters with marijuana leaves on them. I'm just saying that might not be how you want to present yourself to your future employer who more than likely drug tests. Okay. Do a technology check. Hop on, make sure that everything is good to go. Your audio, your visual, your notes are powered up. You've got power to your laptop. If you have the ability to have a second laptop of your roommates on deck, just in case. Maybe even try it from your phone so that can be your backup if need be, because there's been a couple of times where I've had students that, you know, I'm talking to for 2 minutes, their computer shuts down for some reason, an update or whatever, and they can't get back on in time, and they send me an email saying, so sorry, right? And they miss that opportunity. If you're doing all that prep work, don't trip at the last second, right? Make sure that your technology is it's a non-issue. Attire. This is what I'm going to say, because people come from different socioeconomic backgrounds and have different access to different types of attire. The best you have, and make it look like it's the best you have. An iron, or at least a dryer with a wet rag in there, right? By the way, that beats out wrinkles. Just the best you have. It doesn't have to be a full suit and tie. What I would say, I've seen this too, is don't do, I thought it was hilarious, but it made me think about the candidate, okay? Is suit coat, tie, dress shirt, and gym shorts. Don't do that, okay? Full attire. And me personally, I feel more confident when I'm dressed up and I'm looking good. Okay. If you don't have that attire, borrow it from your roommate or something like that. Goodwill is a great place. That's where I was getting my suits at when I was in college to go interview at places. I'd go to Goodwill, buy a suit for $5, take it to a tailor for 15, take it to a dry cleaner for 10, and boom, I've got a brand new looking suit, sharp, right, for under $40. That's what I highly suggest. Okay. Shoes, I'm not going to see your shoes. Wear whatever shoes you want. Prep notes, have them ready, have them printed off as well if you can, or at least stored in 2 separate places, or like you can access them on your phone just in case. Okay. And then take a breath. You got this, because you did all this prep work. It's when you go into the career fair, and you've already done the check, your attire is on point, you controlled your environment, you did all the research, so on. You know these things. It's no longer a mystery what they're going to ask. It's no longer a mystery what you're going to answer with. You know all of it. I told you, dog. You can just relax because you prepared. If you didn't practice, you're going to be extremely nervous, probably the entire time, from person to person to person. You're going to stumble and you're not going to give a good performance. Okay. Here's the secret. Even if you practice, you're going to be a little bit nervous right at the start, and then you're going to ace that first one. I get nervous too before going into interviews, but as soon as I answer that first question and I ace it because I was well prepared, it is actually a confidence booster. You will walk out of that virtual career fair with more confidence in what you went in with because you're so prepared. It's just like sports, band, performing, etc. You get nervous before the first whistle blows, before anything starts, before the lights shine, and then once you start performing, nerves are gone. It's confidence, it's excitement, it's energy, and that's the same thing that you can get here. Make sure you're taking notes throughout the entire time. Okay, that's another beautiful thing about virtual career fairs. You can just type notes, let the person know, hey, I just want to make sure, is it okay if I take notes? No recruiter is going to say no. And it's nice that you were self-aware, that you asked, that you were kind and respectful. Those are things that an employer is looking for. If you applied to the position, let them know when you get in there, hey, elevator pitch, and I applied to the position of this for your company. I was really excited to meet with you because I wanted to talk to you more about that position. Bring good questions, like especially if you applied to a position, bring questions about that position. Remember names, write them down, and then ask how to follow up. Hey, Dan, it was awesome meeting with you. Is there any way in which I could follow up with you? Now, don't be put off if they say, yeah, I'm not going to give you my email address. You can email, recruiting team, right? Or you can email HR. If they don't want to give you an email address, say, hey, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? I would say, hey, is there any chance I could connect with you on LinkedIn or get an email address from you? Give out both options, and then they're going to give you the one that they're most comfortable with. And then I'll talk to you about that and follow up, okay, of what to do with that. So post-fair, career fair is done. You met with all those key employers that you wanted to meet with, but you're not done yet. Post-fair is key. And this is where I see students rise to the occasion or not, okay? Us as an employer, we're looking for initiative, we're looking for follow-up. And if you can show me that before I ever interview you, I've talked to you, right? But I haven't interviewed you. If you can show me that stuff prior to, I get excited. I actually tell my hiring managers. I just had that last night. I had somebody emailed me that I talked to months ago that I met at a career fair. She emailed me and said, hey, Dan, I'm so excited. You told me about a couple positions that I could apply to. And I wanted to let you know that I applied to them and I actually got an interview. My interview is tomorrow, which is today. And I was just wondering if there's any advice that you have for me. This person said, hey, Dan, I already downloaded the free trials of your product. And I've been playing with those over the last couple of days. And I'm listening to the Visual Lounge podcast, which is TechSmith's podcast about our products and just how to be a better visual communicator using our tools and other tools. That person's prepared. Just so you know, those are people, and she didn't sit through one of these sessions, right? When I say all this stuff, it's real and other people are going to do it. And if you're scoffing at this saying like, nobody's actually doing this stuff, I'll introduce you to Jennifer, who's crushing it right now for an entry-level position. And she will be the most prepared student or most prepared applicant, guaranteed. I also had a student that woke up at 4:30 in the morning to watch one of our live webinars that was done for a Germany-based audience, but was broadcast in English because she wanted to learn more about the company and our products. Those are the kind of candidates that you're up against. Okay, that showed so much commitment, so on and so forth. And guess what? We were so excited to interview her, so excited to bring her on board in an internship. She was she caught the attention of our CFO, right, Chief Financial Officer, because she was awesome. She kept up that pace throughout her internship. And yeah, we're talking about offers and she's not even close to graduation. Okay. Post fair, make sure you connect or contact with that person that you asked to follow up with. Actually follow up with them. Okay. So many times, I'll tell you what, I'll go to a career fair. It'll be say from 9 to 6. I'll meet with something like 30 people and I'll have 3 other people there meeting with 30 people. right? A piece. And I tell all of the representatives that we have at that career fair, use my email address. Give them my email address in case they have any questions, because the other representatives aren't in recruiting. They might be in engineering and they've got other stuff to do versus, working with applicants. That's not their job. That's mine. So they'll hand out my email address, say to 100 people. I might get 2 who message me. And those 2 people's names will stand out to me. So if you say, hey, how can I follow up with you? Make sure you follow up. Follow up fast. If you happen to stumble across a company that didn't have a position open before the career fair, but then you talk to them and they say, hey, this position is now open, go in and apply. Make sure you apply that night and act fast on these things. This is the third ingredient, right? So we talked about like your qualifications, being prepared. Those are 2 ingredients. You got to be minimally qualified. And when you come to perform, you got to perform. And the last thing is timing. It's like when preparedness and timing meet, right? Luck happens. And that's really important, because I'll tell you, for our software engineering intern posting that we had last summer or last fall, we had something like 400 applicants or 500 applicants. I think it was 500 applicants in 45 days. If you were that last applicant, or even in the last 100, we probably never saw your resume, because we had something like 7 openings. And within the first couple hundred resumes, we found 7 amazing students who were well prepared, who practiced, right? Who were super qualified. So the last 100 or so, we never even talked to. So there is truth in the early bird gets the worm. Okay. So make sure that you act fast on all this stuff.